The Conjuring is the next entry in this year's Halloween playlist on its 10th anniversary. We are moving right along in this playlist, guys. I'm having such a great time looking back at some of the movies that made me as big of a fan of scary movies as I am. And this is another one, guys. James Wan brought this to us. He would have completed and released Insidious before this, but the whole Conjuring universe and all the movies that have come out since then, since this original installment 10 years ago, it's huge. And James Wan deserves massive credit for bringing Ed and Lorraine Warren's stories to the forefront, to the silver screen here. This is based on a true story, which, again, you gotta take with a pound of salt if you're looking at a Hollywood flick. But the fact that this is a scary movie and it's based off of true events, I feel like just with that knowledge alone, that makes The Conjuring all the more frightening, just on the surface level. So we're set in the year 1970, where Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga respectively, are summoned to the home of Carolyn and Roger Perrin, played by Lili Taylor and Ron Livingston respectively. See, the Perrins and their 5 daughters have recently moved into a secluded farmhouse, which is uncharted territory if you're a scary movie. And what do you know? A supernatural presence has made itself known. So Ed and Lorraine are brought to this house because they are well-renowned paranormal investigators and demonologists. And though the manifestations are relatively benign at first, events soon escalate in horrifying fashion, especially after the Warrens discover the house's macabre history. Now, I hadn't seen this movie in a while, and I was very, very, very excited to add it to this year's list, and I was so stoked to hear that you guys wanted to hear me talk about it. So sitting through it and watching it again, I thought it was excellent. I think in terms of mainstream horror that'll appeal to the casual moviegoer, there's no director that pulls off the casual horror techniques better than James Wan. I'm talking about the jump scares, the loud jolts of music, the creepy things that go bump in the night, the simplest of things that will strike fear in the audience. And his methodology is just so freaking awesome. Because anytime you watch a James Wan horror flick, like, you just can't help but feel uncomfortable. Like, anytime you think a jump scare is coming and you think it's gonna cause nightmares, like, it doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but it's almost like you have your guards up, and even when your guards are up and the jolt of music does come out at you, you're like, ah! That was scary. And James Wan is a master at that. Your heart rate will skyrocket if you watch The Conjuring. Not only that, but the movie looks beautiful. John R. Leonetti's cinematography just makes you feel so freaking unsettled. It's also shot in a way that makes the whole experience feel so raw, like you're actually there with this family experiencing all this. And not to mention Joseph Bishara's score. It will send shivers up and down your spine. And I think the acting across the board, again, excellent. Patrick Wilson, who also starred in Insidious, directed by James Wan, so you have that connection there. He shines so much as Ed Warren, especially towards the end of the movie. And I don't know if I want to get too deep into spoilers, just in case you've never seen The Conjuring, but the whole final climax in the third act, Patrick Wilson is on it. Vera Farmiga is excellent, as she usually is. She does a really freaking good job at selling the paranoia. And the fact that this character is panicked a lot of the time once she does enter this farmhouse. It's crazy because the Warrens are professionals going into this thing, and yet it still freaks the hell out of them. Like, there was this whole paragraph of text at the beginning that basically told you, look, the Warrens kept this inside for a long time, and now here they are. They're telling this story in movie form. And looking at some of this imagery, yeah, you can see why it would freak the shit out of them. All 5 children that you see in this flick are all really solid. Joey King is in this. She is really, really, really great. But one actress that I feel like is often overlooked when we talk about The Conjuring is Lili Taylor. Not that she is overlooked all the time, but I feel like I really need to highlight her performance here because it is outstanding what she's able to do. This is a character that runs the gamut. Like, the whole first half of this movie, she's as paranoid as Lorraine Warren is once she enters the farmhouse. But then once the whole explanation of her spontaneous bruising comes into the light, once this thing actually does start to get into her head and start to possess her, oh my, Lili Taylor is phenomenal. There is a chance that you may have nightmares watching Lili Taylor in the third act. And it is a very white-knuckled third act as well. Like, you want to see all these characters get out of this situation okay. And that's what I feel like this script does so well, is it makes you care about these people and their situation, and you want to see them come out of this thing alive. Because every single one of them, I mean, aside from Ron Livingston, who is fine in the movie, Like, his character is very by the numbers. He is very cardboard cutout fodder for a scary movie. But even still, this group of people is in a really rough situation in this house. And as much fun as you're having in this haunted house Halloween experience, you really want to see these characters make it out of here. And I gotta commend James Wan for excellent direction and the fact that he's able to present these people as humans and not as idiots. Like, you feel the impact of this movie, and that can't go unnoticed. James Wan is undisputedly one of the best directors working in horror right now. The Conjuring, I think, may be his crowning achievement. Yet phenomenal performances across the board from your two leads, Wilson and Farmiga. Lili Taylor, like, untouchable in this. She was so freaking awesome. My only real issue with The Conjuring is I feel like it's a little bit slow paced in the first half. Like, you're really wanting to get these paranormal investigators involved as soon as you possibly can. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I feel like once the Warrens came into the picture, the pacing really picked up and this movie really started gathering steam. But the first half of the movie where you're kind of seeing these things happening to this family, like, you feel sorry for them, but it almost feels like it goes on for a little bit too long. That's a very minor nitpick, though. I love The Conjuring. I think if you guys are fans of spooky haunted house-like experiences, this is certainly one to look back on. I'm going to give The Conjuring an A. Is it too soon to call James Wan a genius? Let me know what you thought of The Conjuring down in the comments section below. Is this your favorite entry in the Conjuring universe? Loads of things that we can discuss in the comments down below. I love making these videos and getting to talk to you guys about all things movies and entertainment. And y'all are invited to the party. Do consider subscribing. Tap on that thumbs up as well. This is an awesome community out here, and y'all are invited to join us. Especially as we start heading towards the end of the year and the Oscar Beatty contender season with Killers of the Flower Moon coming out. I will be reviewing that shortly. I'm going to be watching that later today, so stay tuned for that review. And please feel free to keep up with the Halloween playlist. I've already recorded this year's final video that will be released on Halloween itself, so stay tuned for that. It's a very, very, very exciting watch. Speaking of, next up on this playlist, the original Children of the Corn. Why? Because I feel like that's a movie that really sparked my interest in scary movies, and that's a film that really got to me when I was younger. Loads more to come, guys. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.